I'm Cammy,
And I'm Moni.
and this is a little chat.
A little chisme.
What up, Chisme fam? If you'll notice, we are a sandwich of Chisme today, joined by Abraham, aka Abel Abe, aka Moni. Hit us with the intro.
AKA never heard that nickname for him before, but okay. Today we have the officiant of all officiants. We have our
Ew.
longtime buddy. We have the amazing, the charismatic, the supportive, our friend Abe. What's up, Abe?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I still can't get over that nickname. I'm like,
Abel Abe, what the hell is that?
Oh no. I'm just running with it,
I love it. I love
Moni
it.
always killing it with the intros, though.
I know.
That was a
I
great
know.
intro. We're like real talk. Great
I
intro.
know. Ugh,
Thank
I
you
know.
so much.
Hi,
I feel
girl,
honored.
dear.
I feel honored just being welcomed in that fashion.
Hey.
Welcome to the Chisme, Abe, the zone of Chisme and chatting. We always start off this little area with just how we're doing this week. Should we do a little check in? What's
Yeah.
going on, y'all?
I'm about it.
Abe, tell us. You go first.
Yeah. What's
Sure. What's new? Wow. Well, lately it's been kind of grind central for me, just working, doing my thing, improving every day. I've also, since daylight savings time has kicked in, started to get back into the health fit. So I've started running again.
Nice.
I don't know about y'all, but I do get hit really hard with seasonal depression when it's not daylight savings time. And my motivation working out kind of just plummets. But since the time change, I've all of a sudden found newfound energy, or gotten newfound energy, and I started running some more, hitting the gym again, eating right, and so I've been working on that, and just living, just vibing.
Just
Nice.
I like it. Moni, what about you?
I don't know if it's seasonal, but I definitely think I'm experiencing some depression. No, I've just been down
Hugs.
overall, so I need to figure it out. But I mean, we've talked about it like time and time again. I just need to like get a complete checkup, overall, mental, physical, spiritual. So I'll work on it eventually.
We're getting closer to the halfway point of the year. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
We
as
did
a
talk
birthday
about-
present for myself.
Hey,
Treat yourself,
treat yourself.
Treat yourself. That's right.
yourself.
Oh, I have some cheese may actually. So last episode.
Ooh.
Wow, we jumped right into it. Okay.
Well, yeah, let's change the subject. So it's funny. Last episode, Cammy and I were talking about like relationships, and we were talking about our marriages and like like some past experiences and things like that. So if you listen last episode, we mentioned like some exes, and like we didn't say their names or anything, but one of them, literally the day after, I turn on my phone. It wasn't even published. Okay, literally the day after I got home from work, I go and check my phone. I have a new follower, and guess who it is? One of those people we were talking about. And I don't think I could have screenshotted faster. Like I screenshot that shit so fast and sent it to Cammy, and I was like, yo.
The universe works in mysterious ways. That individual, his ears was burning.
It was crazy because I haven't kept tabs about this person. I haven't even seen them. There's no way like our paths would have crossed, and then I get the following like notification. I was like, it's like, it was crazy. Yeah, so that was pretty hilarious, and So how about we talk about like fortune? Like can I get a drop in my like bank account?
The lottery.
Lottery.
We're all of a sudden going to come
money
upon some great wealth. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Here.
So like, I don't need X's in my like notifications. I need like some good vibes. Like, you know?
Let's
I
get
need an
that.
IRS tax mistake to hit my account where
That's it.
I'm getting $1 million deposited. That's what I need. So universe,
That's it. There we go.
work
There
your
we go.
wonders.
That's it
I
right there.
agree.
So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But yeah, I mean,
So
overall,
funny.
you know, it is what it is. Living life on the grind, just like Abe. You know,
Living
Cammy,
life
you
on
have
the grind.
you have a bit of an update for us. So why don't you get into that?
I do. We are this week, actually, the day this episode releases, have our second of 3 appointments for an IUI. So we had one last Friday. Everything looks good. So Jess has been taking this medicine called Clomid that is supposed to build up the ovaries and start to induce kind of ovulation by affecting the FSH hormones. Learning a lot of things, guys.
I'm learning just
Wow.
from speaking with you
Yes,
right now. So.
yes, which has drained her energy. My wife is very
Mhm.
tired. So that's been fun. And I'm super excited. So basically, after Thursday, well, we also bought sperm.
Hey.
Yeah,
Nice.
we
Nice.
found a donor. I feel like I talked about finding a donor. That's very random.
You did talk about finding a donor.
Yes, but we actually purchased it. It's $2,000.
This was Puerto
so-
Rican sperm, right?
Puerto Rican and Spaniard. Yes, it was a
Hey,
little
let's go.
mixture. Yeah.
Nice.
Also, so
I like how casually you just said that. Like you just went to the market.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'm feeling a little Puerto Rican
Yeah.
today. Let's go ahead. and
Yeah,
grab this
we
thing.
talked about it.
Just
It was a
grab it.
Puerto Rican sperm we were waiting on. Hell yeah.
It was Puerto Rican and Spaniard, which is what I am. So it's pretty cool.
Hey.
Actually, the cryobank that we went through, shipping sperms like $350 in addition to the $2,000. So in total, it's like 2,200, give or take.
Wow.
But
Wow.
we basically found that there was like this special subscription that you could do so that it bypasses the shipping. So we purchased it, and in doing that,
Huh?
I'm sorry. I just,
yeah, a sperm subscription.
no, I just looked at Abe's face after you said subscription.
It's like, okay,
Like,
guys.
like I could
listen.
see the processing happening after you said that, and Abe's face is like, "Oh, subscription." Like, knock knock, your sperm has arrived.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of like that. So
Okay, cool.
it should be arriving tomorrow morning.
I'm just
at the
imagining
clinic.
like factor meals. You guys have heard of those? like
I'd be
those
getting
meals
all
delivered
those
to you.
ads. Yes,
It's like factor meals, but with sperm, just right on your doorstep.
right at your doorstep.
Fast, easy, fresh.
Not fresh, frozen. It's not Wendy's, guys.
Not fresh, but frozen.
So basically, the way that it works, it was cheaper for us in the long run to just do the subscription. Weird word, but it's 90 days of a subscription. You basically buy 5 vials, you get the 6th for free. Yeah.
Nice.
For those of you that don't know the fertility struggles, sometimes it takes more than one take. So better to get money where you can potentially back. Hopefully you don't spend $10,000 on sperm.
Oh my
But
god.
you know,
No, that's a lot.
it's a lot, yeah. So GoFundMe coming soon. Just kidding, guys. We're gonna get lucky this first go around. But my whole point is that in doing that, we like unlocked this dude's profile. So we actually got to hear like a 20-minute interview that he did, and he like said why he's doing it, and he left a message for us and for our future kid.
Oh,
And-
cute.
That's very cute.
Yeah, and then also got to see a picture of him. Jess and I weren't
Okay.
sure if we wanted to see a picture of him, but we
Uh-huh.
did. We kind of look a little similar, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. That's dope.
Yeah. I'll
That's
send
pretty
you
cool.
I did a little side by side comparison.
Wait, tell us more about this bio. Like, what is he good at? Is he
He
tall?
We're very similar. He's a Taurus like I am. He likes
Okay.
cooking. He likes
Oh,
swimming,
great.
which I like.
Gonna be stubborn as hell like you? Great.
Yeah. Jess is like, I don't want a Scorpio because she's a Scorpio. I was like, I don't know if you want a Taurus. Can you handle two of us?
Not a Taurus male, please God.
Taurus,
Well,
yeah.
Well, y'all got to remember, it's going to be when the baby's born. So
I know, but
he
still,
could
now
be a
he's
Taurus.
But you got like two Taurus energies coming together in
True,
a child.
true. But
you
he
know?
could be born, or the baby could be born any other time. So you
It's
could
true.
end up with, like a cancer.
that's what you want.
Right now we're
Aim
slated
for
for
it.
January, so
Okay, so a
Oh,
Capricorn
Aquarius.
maybe?
Aquarius.
Or Aquarius.
Yeah, I would say Aquarius probably.
I don't know shit about none of the other signs except for Scorpios,
Well, you better start
Tauruses,
researching, girl.
and Cancers. Yeah.
You might want to start looking into that because I don't know about you, but I feel like that plays a little bit of a role in personality.
Abe, what are you?
I am a Virgo.
Okay.
I saw the face. The face checks out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw the face.
I have nothing else to say.
Maybe we need to have like a horoscope episode where I just learn.
I know Moni's a Cancer, and Cammy,
Heyo.
you are a Taurus, and I know all the other horoscopes of all of our friends in our friend group because for a while I got really hardcore into it until we got into like the moons and everything else, and then I got to the third parameter, and I was like, that's my limit. After that, like the Venus, the moons, okay, I got that. After that, I was like, okay, no, you're
rising and you're falling. I know that. Jess got into it too for a little period of time, but I didn't retain any of it. It is, yes, very on brand. But anyway, that's my fun update, guys. Hopefully
that's
next
awesome.
week, honestly, like we'll probably do the thing.
Yay.
Yeah, and I won't tell you until like 12 weeks later, but
that's fine. I won't bother you about it. It's just fun to have the little updates approaching, but after that, like we won't bother you about it because it's already a lot of pressure.
It is. The craziest thing, and probably the crappiest thing, is that procedure day, the trigger shot that we give her is called Ovidril, and it mimics the symptoms of pregnancy. So we're not allowed to take a test for 10 to 14 days after. So
oh my goodness.
For like 2 weeks.
The anticipation is going to be like, ooh.
I know. I wanted to. I was like, babe, after we do this, we'll just make you take a test every day. We got like a bag of strips to just.
I told you no.
I know. It's not a good idea. It's fine. Anyway.
Even if it wasn't going through this process and is any process, like I just don't think that that's a good idea because it's just so much pressure and so much. Yeah, it's just, But no, we're excited.
We're very excited.
Discouraged, and then you're like, hey, when it happens,
That's so optimistic of you, but
I am. That's the bright side. Anyway, let's talk about how you get to having a baby, which is getting married first. Not everybody. Respect the hustle. If you don't, whatever. But in our case, we did get married first. So let's talk about our weddings because we have our officiant for both of us here.
Hey, officiants of all officiants.
That's me.
Okay, Abe. Tell us how this happened because you are not officially officiant. It just kind of happened.
Yes.
So tell us about that and
what was your
how
journey?
did we get here?
My journey actually started because Cammy was the one who asked me, and I got really emotional, and I tried not to cry because I was not expecting it. She asked me during. I'm so sorry. It was in Philly. I remember that much, but I don't remember.
It was right after we got engaged.
Yes, the engagement, us being there to support. You guys got back from the beach and all that whole nine, and we were at Colleen's house, right?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that. And Cammy kind of approached me, or like right after, like everyone's in a little bit of the chaos type deal, and she said, "Hey, I got a question for you." And would you be willing to officiate our wedding? And I just kind of was stunned. I was like, whoa, what? And I thought she was kidding at first. I was just like, you're messing with me. And she was like, no, I'm being for real. And I was like, oh. And then like water started welling up because I never expected that. I was very touched. I was very moved. And yeah, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm about it. I have no idea what an officiant is. And I thought it was this long, I thought it was this long, arduous process to becoming an officiant. I always thought the stuff you see in TV, like in How I Met Your Mother, where Barney becomes an officiant off the website, becomeanofficiant.com or something. I thought that was a joke. It turns out it's not. It's very real. You can literally go online and just say how to become an officiant and become officiant in 10 seconds. There you go. So yeah, going back to that moment where Cammie asked me, I was super moved and happy, and decided to sign up for it and get into it. So that was pretty much my experience when Cammie first asked me to become said officiant.
Cammie, what led you and Jess to that decision?
Yeah, first, that makes it feel so much like more special. Not that it wasn't already special, super special moment. But the fact that you said yes and you thought it was this whole fucking thing that you had to do. I love that. Thankful that it wasn't. Jess and I were just talking about getting married before, obviously, I asked her. And we were like thinking, who's going to marry us? Because it's kind of an open door, right? And then immediately we were just like, Abe. Like, there was no back and forth. Like, of all of our people, who do we think like who do we think would kill it? And Abe. It was just an automatic. We both said it at the same time almost. And so,
can I ask why? Just out of curiosity. Like,
yeah,
what is it that was like, you know what? Abe.
Well, I can tell you, it makes perfect sense because, like, I feel like if you think about who you are, like, you're very well spoken. You're also like know how to keep your composure. You're a great friend and a friend to both of us for a really long time. So I think like all your characteristics and the fact that it's really special to get like married by a friend because they know you, they know your relationship, and so it just adds that like personal factor. And getting our friends involved as much as possible. So I feel like those are the qualities that of why I knew why she chose you first, and then why I was like, yeah, Abe's coming to do ours as well, because it's just all the right characteristics for the job. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really
Moni,
appreciate those kind
Moni
words.
pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think that in addition to that, Jess and I just really appreciate how you see our relationship and like how much you love us together as like a couple. So it was just
absolutely.
Like, I think we were talking to you in the car, and you were like expressing that, and we were just like, yeah. And we had decided before that point, by the way.
Damn, now I'm butting you up in the car ride. Damn.
So we were like, obviously.
Was that when I was in Philly for that conference? Yeah, and I remember. We went to breakfast and everything. I do remember that, yeah. Because I definitely, I felt for a long time, and this is from me to you, Cammie, that your relationship with Jess has been so wonderful to be able to witness and see your joy and happiness throughout the years. Because I remember us working together prior to that with Silent Water Films. I remember when Jess first came into your life and how much you were growing as a person throughout the years. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I think along with all of our friends, we kind of, what's the word I want to say? Like, unplugged and replugged a little bit, where we just kind of go work our lives or do our things and then reconnect. And in those reconnection times and seeing you again, you just seemed so happy, so joyous. And Jess always brought such an energy to the room that I was like, this is the reason. This is how, this joy, this happiness is rubbing off on Cammie, and I could see it in her. And it just, I don't know, it just made a lot of sense when I saw you two together, how you carried yourselves, how you acted towards others, your caring nature, Jess's just nurturing nature kind of went hand in hand with each other, and it was something that was always just a pleasure. I always had such a smile on my face every time I saw you two, and Jess always had, like, both of you. But I remember Jess always coming up and just being so happy to see me, and I'd be like, "Yeah, great energy." So it was always a pleasure. It was always so joyous to be able to see that and witness
Thanks, Abe. Guys, you just heard the reason why he married us.
it.
Yeah, Abe be getting in his feels.
100%.
I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Love you, bud.
What's your favorite part about it? Or like tell us like some funny tidbits about like being in that position.
Regarding both of y'all's weddings, or just in general?
Yeah.
So I think because also just being completely frank, not knowing the whole process and stepping into it was interesting and fun in itself, because I felt it like it was a challenge. Like, all right, this is, I'm stepping up to a game I've never played. Let's play it. Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice. I say this, but it's literally y'all's biggest day, and I'm just like, yeah, let's make a game at it.
Hey, you play a big piece. So.
I appreciate, I definitely, but in my head, it was just like, cool. I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's find out. I think it was the most fun, or like the funnest part for me, was learning both of y'all's story with your significant others. If you guys could see the behind the scenes, I think Shelby has been witness to it. I spent nights literally compiling stuff together and piecing your story together, piecing your significant other story, Bobby's story together, Jess's story together, and seeing how I can make it work, how I can make it really flow together. I wanted to sell your guys' love, and that was fun for me. Like, being a storyteller, in a sense of being able to broadcast y'all's relationship, both funny parts and the sappy parts, was super. It was such an intricate process that I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun doing it. Probably more fun than the actual public speaking part, because the public speaking part was like, oh man, I'm gonna black out here. Okay, and then like showcase aid kicks in, and like, ladies and gentlemen. But the part of getting to learn y'all's intimate backstories and learning, what made you guys connect and learn from each other and grow together. It was fucking, excuse me. It was really
we cuss
great.
here. We cuss here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just sorry. It was beautiful. I loved it so much. I had so much fun with it. It felt like a bard in like medieval times, of like, I have to tell the story of the heroes that saved the world. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I do this? I gotta get the details. I gotta piece it together, and I gotta make sure it sounds good, And I had poor Shelby. I had her sit right here while I was, okay, tell me this sounds good. Da 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 da. No. Okay, that is. She didn't get a chance to answer me. I would scrub it and say, no.
Answered your own questions.
No, that didn't sound good. Let me try this instead. You know what? Let's scrap the whole thing. We'll try again tomorrow night. It is what it is. So that was probably the most fun. Out of the entire process, I had the most fun during that. But of course, I loved being a part of y'all's wedding. It was beautiful in and out. It was a great time. I enjoyed myself fully. But I will say the pre-work was probably where I had the most fun.
Nice.
It's an interesting perspective. I like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell how much like you put behind it, and all the questions and the rewrites and like just putting it all together was fun to see the creative writing that came about. And the way that you made everything flow, you could tell you really cared. So that was awesome.
I appreciate that.
Are you doing any other weddings?
Probably not. No.
Why?
So I think after your wedding, and it wasn't anything reflected towards your wedding, Moni, I had a blast. It was a good time. I think I'm good. At least until another core member of our group probably gets married. Like if Carlos were to get married, or I don't know, Sebastian or John even. If they're like, "Hey, would you officiate our wedding?" I'd be like, "Let's do it." Like, you know, I'd be like, "Okay,
Okay, so
Uh,
only for a close friend.
only for close friends, very
okay.
much so, because I think, like I said, that initial part was super addicting. I love to hear y'all's story. I love to have that intimate moment with y'all and be able to learn more about you. The public speaking part, be as it may, like I said, like I'm very surprised that y'all would have thought of me to be in this role. I don't really like public speaking all that much. I know when alcohol's introduced, that might be a different story, but
Just give him a
normally,
shot before he starts. That's all you gotta do.
but
Literally.
I normally would be like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather just kind of just hang back for a little bit. But then once I get a little drinks in me, then let's get on the stage.
He's a showstopper. He's like,
Yeah.
hello, I'm here.
But
Yeah.
I kid you not, on both of y'all's weddings, just being 100% transparent, when I was up there, I was super nerve wracked. I was like, I don't know where to look. I'm just going to stare off into the void. I have no idea what to do right now. And all of your families were looking at me and watching me, and I'm just like, okay, I'm here right now. This is I'm gonna look at my book. I'm gonna look
I know they
really
weren't
busy
small
right now.
weddings either, so there's a good
Yeah.
amount of people in there.
I was very much like, oh man, the pressure is on right now. Let me just look at my book and pretend, oh yeah, this is really important. I've already memorized this like 100 times, but I'm gonna look at it like, oh yes, I need I need to ponder. So it was one of those moments that if you tell me, hey, would you officiate weddings just for fun and not for somebody that you really care about, I'd be like, nah, I'm just okay.
No, it's nerve wracking. I can imagine all those eyes on you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Friends
That's
only.
funny.
Yes.
Until
yes.
your wedding, you're gonna officiate for yourself, right?
I'm gonna officiate for myself. I'm gonna
Pre-recording.
I'm gonna pre-record it. I'm gonna put it on the prompter. I'm gonna have a projector of myself talking to myself.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna have back and forth. It's gonna be great. And be like, thanks, Abe. Anyways, and then just go from there.
That's
I like it. I like it. All right. So before we dive into relationships, do you have any advice for future officiants that you would give?
Yeah, sure. The only advice I can give is if you're gonna do this, really care about the people you're doing it for, because it's their big day, and you don't want things to go bad on their big day. So if you're doing this reluctantly, like, I guess don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're actually going to commit and tell their story, do it because you want to do it, because you love their story and you want to tell people about it. If you go up there and just kind of read from a script or read from something or that you pull off the internet, I'm not trying to be Mr. Elitist superior over here, but it's like, it's their big day and you want to make sure that they feel like it's their big day. And I think the biggest responsibility to showcase that is the officiant. If the officiant doesn't express that through their words, then it kind of ruins the big day. And that's the only advice I have to give.
That's solid advice, I think.
Thank you.
It's a good point. You're selling the relationship right through the love. You're like, yes.
Yeah, it sets the tone, right, of the ceremony and like the energy that you that the officiant has or puts into the ceremony. People will feel that, and it kind of bounces off of what they're saying and how they're saying it. So for sure, I think that's really important, is to just care about it, or at least get to know your couple enough where you build that care for them and wanting to do a good job for their big day, even if it's like not a close friend. But no, I mean, I've seen such a variety, and you can tell when there's a little bit of that like X factor when it comes to an officiant and setting the right tone for a ceremony. So yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say, I think I've only been to one wedding where it's been a random person or like the pastor of the church that doesn't really know the couple, and out of all of them, I'd say that one was like the least emotional. You know,
And that's the point I'm trying to make, is like, if you have somebody who's just going to read something off, and I understand religious background as well, they want to have the church or the pastor or the priest do it, by all means, I get it. And maybe that hits a notch that they're looking for, about having somebody in that religious schoolhouse be able to give. But if you really want that big day to feel special, my personal opinion, open for controversy and subjective conversation, is that you should get somebody who really is invested in y'all's relationship and sell the dream, because nothing feels better than to have somebody hype you guys up on your big day. Like, at least, I don't know, for me, I would be like, hell yeah.
Straight facts.
So,
All right.
As said from Abel Abe, apparently.
Abel Abe. That's a new one. Uh-oh. Did we?
Moni! Where'd she go?
We lost Moni.
What? I'm
He's-
still here.
Oh,
Second.
Oh, hi. I haven't,
Moni's,
I
Moni's
haven't
face.
left.
For
That was
those of you
actually-
listening, Moni like disappeared for a second for us.
That was actually Cammy minimizing your screen for making fun of Abel Abe. She went,
It was perfect timing. I did not do that though. I would never.
I am still here, alive and well.
Alive and well.
Well, what I wanted to.
Well,
Well, wait a second. I want to know from Abe. Are you going to be getting married? Like, is that something you want for yourself?
yes, no, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially this current relationship, I would say that it's in the works. Me and Shelby have had that conversation, or Shelby and I have had this conversation, and we've set our expectations with each other. It was already kind of set when we started dating, because I told her, listen, this is going to sound really, I don't know, maybe too controlling, and I apologize in advance, but it was like, hey, listen, these are my expectations. I don't date to just date. I date for keeps. And if you're trying to do this and build a life with each other and build a partnership, then let's run it. If not, let me know right now, because I really don't want to waste my time. And I mean that in the most respectful, non-aggressive, pushy kind of way. It's more or less just communicating what I'm seeking for in a relationship. And she was about it 100%. So I already knew that if the relationship went well, we were going to get married one day. It was more or less just a testament of, did we work well together? And we are now going on 3.5 years, going strong. And yeah, I'm pretty positive that we're going to end up tying the knot. I just have to get there and getting the process started, or basically pop the question, but it is in the works.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's controlling at all. I think there are a lot of people who kind of make that that announcement to others, right? Like, I'm dating to marry, and that's just what they want. That's where they're at in life. And so that's something that I've heard pretty frequently before. And I think that's a
Bob
smart
did
thing.
that to you, right? Like Bob said that to you?
That's true. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. From the beginning, like, that's what he said, is that he's dating. He changed his focus, right? Like, he was dating for a while, and then he made the decision, like, I'm dating to marry. And then he started going on like as many dates and trying to put himself out there. And then we met because
And
he
that
was
was
on
it.
a mission. Yeah, he was
That
on
was
a mission.
That was it. Moni said, that's the one.
I made the joke. I was like, yeah, he was definitely on a mission. Like, he was like on the hunt for sure. Which is funny, but he just tells me, he goes, it's all like, dating is all about numbers. Numbers. You just gotta like and not wasting time. But it's that, like, it's what you just said, Abe, is like, okay, I'm dating to marry. Are you on that same page? You're not. Next, another date. Put yourself out there and meet as many people as you can, so you can really get what you want and what you need from somebody. And then once you find that person that you're like, okay, I'm compatible with them, then boom, you can build that relationship in that life. But yeah, no, I think that's great.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Fair approach. I will say, I probably would, I would agree with Bob if it wasn't for the fact that maybe I got really lucky, and with Shelby, it was the first one, and I was just like,
No.
hey, you about this? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. Done. Like, I'm gonna keep doing the dating portion, but I do feel as if Shelby and I had not worked out, it would have been repeat. Okay, on to the next one. Same thing?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay, on to the next one. And just like you said, it's a numbers game of trying to find that right person who will be compatible, or who will match you on that energy of that expectation that you want. Because at the end of the day, it's what you're trying to get out of life. And you can find that partner who wants to get the same thing, then both of you can come together and work towards it as a unit. or as a team.
Yeah, it's like how many times do you hear somebody who's like, "Oh yeah, I've been with this person, but I probably should have we probably should have broken up a year ago, or we probably should have broken up 2 years ago." It's like, why waste the time?
Yeah,
You
like
know what
Absolutely,
I
I'm
why do
with
mean?
you.
all that?
Why? Yeah, and I hear it too oftenly, and so I feel like
Hmm.
that's the what's really important is that you set the standard for yourself of like what you truly want, and then when you
Yeah,
date and you have that clear, you're not going to waste your time or anybody else's time.
Agreed, 100%.
I agree. I had a moment like that where I was just like, I'm just gonna hop around a little bit, and then I just stopped hopping. I didn't like stop when I met somebody. I was just like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this crap. And
That's
then
too dang bad.
yeah, yeah.
That's what Jess said.
I had such an urge to finish that. I'm like,
I had to. I had
I
to.
was waiting
too
to see
damn
if one of you
bad.
would.
I had
Yeah,
to. I
no.
can't not finish that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. So,
Hmm.
talking about relationships, what would you say some of the biggest relationship misconceptions there are?
Can you give me an example of what you mean by that?
Sure. Example: the guy is like the breadwinner, brings
Ah,
home the
okay.
bacon. The girl does all the chores. Type trad
Gotcha.
wife kind of type
Not the child wife. Oh my
situation.
goodness. Ugh, okay. So I think that's a big misconception right there. I'm really big on the 50-50 rule. And I'm really big on not just 50-50 financially, but 50-50 everything. And I'm talking about house chores. I'm talking about responsibilities of both partners, being a supportive partner, being everything of that sort. Um, Also financially, of course, too. I don't think the traditional, as some people will like to call it, and this is subjective in my opinion, apologize to any, no offense to those who live this lifestyle or follow this lifestyle, to each their own at the end of the day. But the traditional viewpoint of like one is the breadwinner and the other one is the caregiver, I don't agree with that. I think that both partners can be a unit, can be a team. Because that being said, let's follow that example where it's the traditional mindset. If the traditional breadwinner goes down, and by down loses their job, loses the ability to gain bread, whatnot, what happens to the caregiver? The caregiver is then forced into a role where they have to go get the bread per se, and then there's resentment because that wasn't what they signed up for. It's not their responsibility, but the breadwinner's down right now. It's out of their control. What can they do? And then it becomes this really conflicted area. Whereas for me, 50-50, we both are bringing to the table and we're both supporting and lifting each other. And even in the offset chance that one person goes down and that person has to carry 100%, it comes back in many different ways, in shapes or forms, where we both have the ability to be able to do set responsibilities and we both have the ability to support each other if something were to happen, in my opinion. So I guess that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I don't personally agree about traditional, or as society likes to put, like, oh, you're a man. If you're looking at the heterosexual norm, men should be caregivers or breadwinners. Men should be supportive. Men should do this. Men should do that. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that both partners have the ability to support and care for each other, and both should if that's what they're looking to do. But at the end of the day, and I'll end this opinion with the whole, hey, whatever floats your boat. If you enjoy having a man and or woman pamper you and care for you, and you want them to be the breadwinner, I'm all for it. Run it. That's your business at the end of the day, and whatever makes you happy. And nobody should ever try to take that away from you.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's thinking about it in that context too. You never actually put those two together. Where if one person is the sole provider, and let's say they die, get cancer, can't work because they're injured, what happens to that person there? Like it's just
I,
a big shift. Just where she works now, the area that we're in, like a lot of the people are getting like sick. So one of their like she's had like 10 parents die in the last 2 years
Oh
of her
my
kids.
gosh.
wow.
Yeah, a crazy rate of like parents dying. But then these wives, some of them had their careers, like they were lawyers or something like that together, but some of them, they have 3 kids. That was it, and now they're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's like, wow, you think about that.
No, yeah, and
Mhm.
that's definitely an example. One that I've witnessed growing up is when there those traditional relationships are come into effect. Even myself, growing up with my parents were a traditional household. Um, there was many instances, not to dwell too much into the details of my parents' personal life, but there's a lot of times that my mom wasn't happy, and my dad kind of took advantage of that and would, basically do whatever he wanted because he was the breadwinner and he could do that. And my mother,
Mm,
and along with other women who, speaking purely on heterosexual norm here, other women who found themselves trapped in those kind of positions couldn't do anything about it. And other examples of like similar situation, but the man runs off and decides to leave for another woman or leaves for somebody else. And now the caregiver who was taking care of the kids, who never focused on their career, who never focused on making money, has no means. That's it. And then also just to kind of flip the roles or making non-gender and just make it non-binary here, just either partner could this happen to. If man, if you want to go back to heterosexual real quick, man who wants to stay at home and be a house husband, for sure. I mean, that's what you want to do, but I don't agree with that because now if your wife decides to take advantage of that or put you in a position that you're helpless, you can't do anything about it. And then same thing with non-gender, non-binary roles here. Just that power dynamic of one person being able to control while another person is handling the responsibilities at home puts them at a vulnerable position in either or. So
yep.
that's how I always looked at it. If you can provide and support and give, and your partner can provide, support, and give, and you both do 50%, you both can come together to do the full 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a long time I like believed in the 50-50, but honestly, my opinion has changed over the years a little bit. And I
Oh,
don't know if that's truly achievable to really
Tell
be
us.
50-50.
yeah, please.
I think my worldview changed a little bit because I started having friends with kids and seeing how their worlds changed and seeing the role of like being a stay-at-home mom and how much of a contribution that is. And then some of my friends decided not to go back to work because there is so much that they're fulfilling at home. Now, do I think that that should make them feel less um, kind of powerful or less kind of like important? Absolutely not. I think that's something that, Abe, to what you're saying, is shouldn't happen. There shouldn't be a power dynamic that
Mhm.
shifts, and not one person is, just because the one partner is contributing financially and the other one is not, and maybe they're providing other things that are supporting the home, doesn't mean, just because you have financial contributions doesn't make you more powerful in the relationship. That's not how it should be. Of course, things happen, like relationships go sour that way, or again, it's about somebody's worldview or the way that they see that kind of tone and that relationship. So I think it depends. Like maybe you grew up and you were told that if you make money, you have the power, or if you make money, you have the say or the leadership in the relationship. And again, to each his own, but that's not what I want and that's not what I believe. But um yeah, I can't say that, like, I can't say, because I've worked since I could start working, and I grew up um in a single household. Like mommy was single my entire life, and my mom and dad did great raising me and they like had a great co-relationship, but I grew up with a single mom, and so I think my worldview is a little different that way, where it's like I grew up thinking I have to work, work, work because that brings value. Like that's what
Mm.
I bring to the table. As I make money, I'm independent, and now I'm like hyper independent. And so being like dating, meeting Bobby, now getting married, I'm like, man, this hyper independence has really like not doesn't put me in the best spot, because now sometimes I get defensive, or I feel like I crave that independence, or I crave certain things that can't have anymore
Mm.
because I'm in a partnership, and that's fine. I have to adjust and like be realistic and include my partner in a lot of decisions, and I'm happy to do that. But now when I think about when I want to have kids, I don't know if I'm definitely not going to be working 40 hours, 50 hours a week. And I don't think that lessens my value, right? Like, what if I don't want to go back to work? I think that's a conversation we have to have, because I don't want that power to shift. I've contribute a lot right now, but I also feel like I want to feel like I'm contributing just as much, even if I decide just to be a mom, or just to do, just to figure that out. But again, that could change in a year when I actually have a kid. Maybe I do want to go back to work. So it's one of those things that it's like, I don't know if it's ever truly achievable to have that 50-50 when it comes to like each domain individually. I think however the couple decides to kind of feel like they're providing as much as they can provide and come together and fulfill that 100, I think that's really what's important. Is like, you can't necessarily like percentize, is that even a word, every little thing you're
You made it
doing,
one.
but at the
You're right about to say.
you know what I mean? I was gonna say monetize, but not monetize. But like, you can't put a number to how this much percent on this and this much percent. But it's like, are we meeting the 100? Are both of us happy? Are both of us doing
Yeah.
the best we can in
Yeah.
that moment, and making sure that that resentment doesn't build?
Mhm.
And that happens through, I think, your attitude towards certain things. I think that's communication that's needed to be had. Like, if you're not fulfilling, or if you feel like your partner isn't fulfilling some kind of percent of the relationship, then you've got to speak up about it and not expect that they're just going to know, because then that's when a lot of times people do kind of look to the side, or maybe they get a little curious, or they just start to feel that resentment, and that's never going to have a great outcome, in a relationship. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's been something that I feel has changed over the years. I said, I want 50-50. I want to, yeah, I'm going to pay for dinner and he's going to pay and this and that. But I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, is that really achievable? You know?
No, and
Yeah.
I agree exactly where you're coming from. I think when we say 50-50, it's more or less not the actual like percentile. Okay, I did this much, so now you have to do this much, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I mean more 50-50 versus the traditional house, bread giver, caregiver kind of deal, or breadwinner, is the 50-50 rule is more or less the ability to step in when needed. That's more or
Mm-hmm.
less what I'm trying to communicate. And it's not really more like tit for tat. Tit for tat, I
Yeah.
feel like, isn't healthy, to your point, 1000%, because that will lead to resentment at some point, because life changes, just like you described. Hey, this is now happening. We're now about to have kids. As you're about to have a kid, you can't work while you're having a kid. You're about to give birth. You're going to be out of commission for a little bit. What's going to happen? A toxic husband or partner would sit there and say, well, 50-50, I'm doing this now. You better step up and do this. No, that's not what I'm trying the point I'm trying to make is more or less the 50-50 about the ability to step into the role that's needed to support your partner. So in the instance that, let's say, Moni, you decide to have kids and you tell Bobby, hey, you know what? I'm not going to work. I'm done. That's it, right? That conversation you have with Bobby, it will evolve for him, since you both are hyper independent individuals, right? You both have the ability to kind of provide for yourselves. If he wishes to step into that 100% role, and that comes from communication, like you said, to be able to cover for the both of you, to support, and almost in a sense temporarily step into the breadwinner role. But it's not to say defined. You are the breadwinner until now, until the end of time, because who knows, it might change after your kids reach maybe 8, 9 years old and they can go to school by themselves or do whatever. And you're like, you know what? I think I'm ready to go back to work. You could do that. And then he can say, all right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and pull back the reins a little bit. And it's not really more or less about a power dynamic. I think I used that example incorrectly and I apologize. it's more or less the example or situations that some people find themselves in because they get caught up in that role, where some people will use it
Oh yeah, for
maliciously.
sure. For sure.
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
for sure.
it's in
Mhm.
using financial means as a power is obviously never healthy in any relationship, but it's more or less just like having the ability to just support your partner when needed versus using Cammy's example here, when one partner now is not out of the picture, the other person goes, now what am I supposed
Mhm.
to do? Right. And that you get that more from a traditional household or traditional viewpoint of a relationship. Well, I
Mhm.
don't have to worry about this because he's the breadwinner and that's it and I'm good. Or I don't have to worry about the stuff at home because she's the caregiver and all I just got to do is make money and I'm good. Let's say a
Mhm.
caregiver, something horrible happens and she's now gone or they're gone. And now the breadwinner has to step into the caregiver. But if they've endured their entire relationship as a breadwinner, now all of a sudden they got to step into this caregiver role.
No, I can
It
imagine.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's more
Mhm.
or less what I was trying to kind of communicate about the 50-50. The
Yeah.
tit for tat I feel like would become a little toxic because then you're sitting there and
Yeah.
you're going like, hey, so I paid for dinner yesterday, are you gonna pay for dinner tomorrow? Like
Mhm.
you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to do that. Like I think one example I'll use for myself is I'll treat Shelby to dinner and I don't expect her to sit and pay me for dinner or whatnot. It's because I want to I want to treat her. I want to take her out. I want to buy her dinner. And if later on she's like, hey, I want to buy you a gift just out of the blue, I'm like, okay, cool, great, awesome, thank you so much. I don't sit there and go, oh snap, I got to buy her a gift now. Oh man, like we
Yeah, you
gotta.
don't feel that pressure. Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I
Mhm.
think going back to what you said, I think it all stems from the biggest means of just having communication.
Yeah.
Communication at the end of the day for regarding whatever situation that you're in, as long as each partner has an understanding and not an expectation of like, well, I'm not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be doing that.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's where I could feel the other side of malicious resentment and all that nasty stuff can come
Oh, for
up
sure.
and create more
Yeah.
problems.
It's all about balance. Balancing the ebbs and flows of life.
Mhm. Well,
Agreed.
Cammy with the fortune cookie.
I knew you were gonna say something. I knew it.
Cammy and I have
Anyway.
talked about this before, but like there that I feel like is the tangible stuff, right? It's like, but for emotional, I think like Cammy and I had definitely
Mm.
talked about this before, where it's kind of like that's a whole nother area where I think there's that kind of balance and that teeter tatter between I can't give my 100%, but I can give you this much percent, right, of myself right now because
Yeah.
of X and X and X circumstances. And so that too will ebb and flow, as you mentioned, like I think in a relationship, and that I feel is healthy, and not expecting your partner to always be at that 100% just because it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
And, that definitely plays into it a lot. Abe, what I wanted to know is how were you raised? Because all of us have Hispanic backgrounds. I feel like culture plays a huge part in that.
Yeah.
And so like how were you raised versus what is your view right now or your worldview on relationships and how you want to carry your relationship forward?
Great question. So, like you mentioned, we're all of Hispanic descent here. My
Mm-hmm.
family is from Ecuador, South America, and I'm also part Italian, so that's mixed in there as well. So, Hispanic Italian, great mix. Um, so, a lot of the Hispanic machismo mentality was in my household growing up. That was my dad was very. He grew up with 15 brothers, and his
No, like legit.
legit. My dad grew up with.
15?
I
Wow.
have a lot of uncles.
I
Yeah,
did not know that. Oh
I
my
have a lot of
god.
uncles.
Big
So, oh
old
yeah,
fam.
big old family. I
All dudes?
yeah. He's got like
My
one sister.
god.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow. Oh my god, I
he
can imagine that household.
he grew up with 15 brothers, and unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
my grandpa, his dad, died when he was about 6 years old, 7 years old.
Oh, terrible.
So the oldest brother, I think, was probably like 15, 16 at the time. Um, he stepped into the role And
Mm-hmm.
these are, you know, young guys that don't know exactly how to run a family or lead a family or anything. So they did the best that they could. And it was all alpha male machismo. I'm big brother. You got to listen to the brother. And hey, big bro's talking. We got to follow what big brother says. And my dad carried that mentality, and he carried a lot of pride with his family because, you know, whatever the man said, that's what the man does. And he brought that into the relationship. And I grew up with that mentality, or being exposed to that mentality with my mom. And I witnessed a lot of pain on my mom's side because, like I mentioned earlier, my mom wasn't always happy, but she found, like, she relied or laid heavily into religion, and you know, it was the will of God, or el voluntad de Dios for those Hispanic speakers or listeners out there. And she always, you know, said this is God's plan and this is what she's going to do. But there's many times kind of witnessing and watching it that I was like, this is horrible. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And this is the same kind of household that, as a kid, my dad would be like, you don't need to cook. Only women cook. You don't need to learn how to do laundry. Only women do laundry. You don't need to do this because you don't need to clean. Women will clean. Your job is to do this. And I remember as a kid, I looked at him and I said, what if I want to be able to do it for myself? Like, what if I don't have a woman there to clean for me? What if I need to do it my damn self and that's it? And he would sit there and say, well, that's your first problem. You need to go find a woman. And that was his logic. That was his reasoning. And going to your second part of your question is that how do I live my current life right now? And I am very much against the whole traditional machismo mentality. I approach every situation in my relationship. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect in any kind of way. And for those who are my close friends, you both included, you guys know that I'm not perfect in any kind of way. I got all kinds of problems here. But I approach my relationship as mindful as I can be, with empathy, with understanding, and with willingness to compromise and or work together. Because at the end of the day, I am not the man of the house. I am a partner. I am here to work together to achieve what we're trying to achieve. And we should be trying to achieve the same thing. And if we're not, where's the disconnect? And where can we communicate to bridge that disconnect so we can both get on the same team again? That's pretty much how I kind of carry myself now. I didn't carry myself for that. It wasn't until very recently, or more than reason, maybe like past 5-6 years ago, that I started incorporating this mentality. I did carry my parents' mentality for a while because I thought that was the correct mentality, because I didn't know any better. That's what I was exposed to. I thought this was right. And I learned in therapy, no, that's terrible. Don't do that. So that's pretty much the whole shebang, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean,
Therapy is great.
It is. I mean, it just plays such a, like, our upbringing. We can play. This is the play on a loop, right? Like, our upbringing is so important to understanding, like, what our worldviews are or how we approach situations, especially relationships. And so I, you know, it's always like, I always love to hear about people's stories. Like you said, like, you love to hear about our stories and our relationships, but just in general, your upbringing, or what are the things that kind of led the examples in your life, are very telling to, well, you make a decision or you learn over time. Do I want to mimic that? Do I want to take pieces of that, or do I want to throw it away? Like, do I want to push that to the side and make my own kind of approach because of what you're trying to avoid and what you've learned through others and what you've learned through your own experiences? So Absolutely. It's always interesting to hear, like, what people grew up with, and then how much of that are they continuing to carry on versus saying, nope, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do it differently, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Kudos to you for also taking those steps of, like, analyzing your past and your upbringing and kind of breaking those generational things and that come into play, and also for going to therapy and getting help. I think that's also a big kudos.
I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. Therapy was the foundational building blocks to breaking the stigma, breaking the chain, because after my ex, like my, my marriage or my divorce, I went to therapy and went through that whole process and trying to figure out, okay, so what is wrong with me? And basically, like, first thing, all right, so I'm here. What's up? What's going on? And it was through therapy where we learn about the foundational roots of where we grew up and what we were exposed to and what we thought was right, not necessarily maybe right. And, finding yourself through that to identify, okay, this is what I grew up with. This is what I'm being told is correct, but this is what I believe should be correct. And identifying the differences between the two and incorporating them and actually applying them and following through and being, mindful of the practices that you put in play, and then just growing every day. And that's one of the things too that I've learned is that it's continuous. It's not like, okay, I'm fixed. It's just, you continuously keep going back and keep learning and keep rehashing, reanalyzing. Okay, maybe that strategy didn't play out right. Let's try this strategy instead. And just continuously keep going until it works. And then once it works, keep going.
We did have a couple of other things that we were going to talk about, but I think I'm going to save them. I think we might want to have Abe back, right? Maybe.
I don't know.
Another episode.
She's like, you know what? He's been talking this time.
Basically, I'm going to say, let's leave the business for another week, okay? And let's talk dirty conspiracy theories.
Ooh.
Not dirty. Conspiracy.
I was gonna say, when you say dirty, this sounded...
not dirty, guys. It was the wrong word, okay?
Yeah, I was like, this wasn't in this wasn't in the outline. So what do you...
My bad. Okay. I just want... We'll save the business for another time, if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Moni, approve?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Get into a little bit of what you mean by that, like, because we've been talking about relationships. So
Abe,
what do you mean by the business?
Abe likes business and likes talking business. He's just a very professional persona, and he helped me with my resume, my LinkedIn profile. He's very good at business related things and professionalism and just the way that you output yourself into the world and those different aspects of growing professionally. Abe is a professional. All right.
I appreciate that.
So I feel like his input would be helpful if we have any listeners that are interested in business and to just creep into his brain of professionalism.
We'll just do a whole Abe series, and this one was relationships. And relationships and a male point of view, and then the next one will be business and whatever that entails, and then another one can be something else. We'll just do a whole series. How about that?
Fun fact.
Sounds good.
Fun fact I will share. When you say the words professional, when I was a kid, have you all ever seen Man on Fire?
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington?
Mm-hmm.
No, Cammy?
And with... Oh, okay. And what's the girl's name?
Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Fanning when she was little. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So fun fact, that movie, for me growing up, it was one of my favorite movies. I watched that movie religiously. I named one of my dogs after Pita, which is the little girl in the movie. Her name was Lupita, but they called her Pita for short. And so I called my dog Pita because, I don't know, I like that movie a lot. But there's one quote in that movie that rings in my head all the time. And I don't know if it's something that I just made it a core memory that every time I engage in anything, I live by that mantra or whatever. And it's so funny because in the movie it's being said with malicious sarcasm. And he goes, be a professional, be a professional. They're always saying be a professional, but I don't think you know what that means. And that's when Denzel is going through all the gang, because in the movie, Cammy, not to try to spoil it too much, great movie, great watch, you should watch it. Little girl gets kidnapped. Denzel goes after to save her, and the girl who gets kidnapped it's Dakota Fanning, and it's a gang that kidnaps her in Mexico. And Denzel is a former hitman turned bodyguard, and he's a badass. He's going in, he's kicking ass, taking names. And every person that he comes across, all they say is, please, I'm just a professional. I'm just a professional. And he just, you could see him get so like, he grabs him and he gets like, starts like hitting the gun on the guy's
You
head.
don't know what a professional
You don't know what
is.
that means, because Denzel is carrying himself as a professional.
Mm.
He himself is the embodiment of a professional as to what he is doing. But every person that he comes across, being the bad guys, are all like, I'm just a professional. Listen, you can't blame me. I'm just a professional. And he's like, you just don't know what that means. So sorry. As soon as you said, if you're like, a professional, I'm like, that just reminded me of that movie. So
I'll have to check it out.
definitely.
Let's lighten the end of here and just talk conspiracy theories. Not dirty. What's your favorite conspiracy theory going on right now? What's your like, this is a joke, kind of like silly, how could this be real? And then what's your like, yeah, that's real.
Do you want me to start off?
Yeah,
Okay.
guest of honor. I don't think Moni knows what we're talking about. So.
No, but I know that you've been dying to fucking talk about this, so I'm just here to listen.
My two favorite conspiracy theories that I think are a joke, but I still love to entertain, I just think it's really funny, is Mark Zuckerberg is a lizard man.
What?
And the pigeons in New York City are all drones. They're not real.
Yeah, the pigeons aren't real.
Oh my god,
the pigeons are not real. There's no such thing as pigeons. They died a long time ago, and they've actually all been replaced by government drones, and they're spying on everybody in New York City.
Oh my god!
Because you never see a baby pigeon.
You never see a baby pigeon.
That's true.
You never see a baby pigeon. You only see full-size pigeons.
Maybe that's not in their nature. Maybe they have to hide, like they stay in the nest until they're like full grown or some shit.
Or is that what they want you to think?
So annoying. Okay, what about the pigeons in Puerto Rico? Same thing though. You never seen a baby one.
You never seen a
Maybe
baby
they're
one.
watching over there too.
Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. They're monitoring.
I've never heard it strictly
watching them.
focused in New York City. I've heard it just pigeons in general. So it's interesting that that's where it started.
That's funny.
And it might have be generalized, but all I've heard is about New York City because me being born in New York and growing up in New York, I've heard that theory and that conspiracy that the pigeons are watching. Man, the pigeons are there, man. And
that's
I'm like,
so funny.
In New York, all right, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one, Mark Zuckerberg being a lizard, I just think that's pretty hilarious. Like,
that is
every time I see him in the memes or in the courtroom, and his eyes are just that massive and that big, and I'm just like,
he do kind of look like a lizard. Slimy ass mo. What about real? What do you believe in?
I definitely. Okay, let me get my tinfoil hat out real quick. Let me
God!
I wish I had one. Put it on. I definitely believe in the Illuminati. I believe that there is some kind of higher organization pulling the strings. I mean, it makes sense to me. Like, if you got all these guys in power, girls and guys, millionaires, billionaires in power, what do the higher echelon tier of people like to do? They like to feel special about themselves. What better way to feel special about themselves than to create this elite organization that only the super, 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 super elite can get in? And there's the Illuminati. And then you got the families of generational wealth that have kicked into so many years, and then you can go into the whole conversation about these generational wealth families ensuring that they stay in power by the powers that be, and what they do and how they go about it, and people being killed off left and right, and Epstein and all a bunch of other stuff and whatever. By they I mean the Illuminati, is just chilling in their ivory tower somewhere, watching us peons as they look at us.
Us pigeons?
As pigeons. Killing each other and massacring each other and just pointing the blame at each other while they just sit there and they watch. I do believe that there is a higher organization in place. Now,
who do you think the leader is?
Oh, I have no idea.
I didn't know
Probably
if you had any theories.
maybe Rockefeller. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't actually. I don't even think there's a leader. I think it changes.
Hmm.
I think it rotates because
Interesting.
I feel as if the dynamic of power shifts so much that it just goes around.
Hmm.
Moni's like, okay, this guy's not
Moni?
invited back to the
Honestly-
podcast.
Honestly, when you guys bring this up, I just like hear like the Twilight Zone music. In my- That's what goes on through my brain right now.
Imagine a world where no.
I
Yeah, I
take
don't know.
it that
I'm just
I was
not
gonna
that
say, do you
person.
don't have any?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
There's
like,
nothing like
no.
some abstract thought that you're just like, yeah, maybe that could be real.
I mean, I'll have an opinion if you like bring one up, but this isn't something I actively think about. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think
Or
the
I
government's watching you, listening
Oh
to you?
yeah. I mean, I'm not one to like cover my camera or my phone. You know what I'm saying?
Is
I
that
know
a
people who
conspiracy
like
theory?
I mean, it's a conspiracy theory that they're listening and utilizing it against you, but it's not a conspiracy theory, or it's
shit.
pretty much fact that these
they
phones
do listen.
they're listening. Yeah, that's
Okay,
Yeah.
I was
that
gonna
is
say I believe in that. Does that mean that I
Yeah,
no,
believe
no,
in
no, no, no.
they
It's
for sure listen,
yeah,
you know,
but the
and
data,
monitor. Hmm.
the monitoring and the data is more used for companies to market information to you and like sell
Right.
you stuff and whatnot, or like algorithms to like showcase to you something you might be interested in. But
Hmm.
the conspiracy is that no, they're building a profile on you. They're making like an identity. This is who Camille Perez is, and everything we need to know is within all these data logs because we have so much people on staff to be listening to every bit of your conversation and compile all this data for you. So
That's
Not
fine. I
anymore.
mean, so then I don't have to make an if I go missing folder. Then they already got it, right? So if I go missing, then they got me,
which
right?
is why it's a
Yeah.
conspiracy because it doesn't
Okay,
believe
great.
it doesn't
Hopefully,
exist.
hopefully I don't go missing because then y'all ain't gonna have any info.
What
Fun
you talking
fact:
about? I
in
see your location.
in Hong Kong, there is a city, or I guess it's in Hong Kong, a subsection that they're doing this with AI and cameras, where they're building profiles off of people's faces, kind of like that episode in Black Mirror. I don't know if y'all ever seen that by any chance.
Not that episode. I've seen like Black Mirror has a series of episodes towards the same story, or every episode is a different story. Which one is it?
I think it's every episode's a different story.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple of them then.
Oh, okay. Well, in Black Mirror, there's an episode where everyone has a profile, and based off your likes, you have higher social standing or you have less social standing. It's almost like Instagram, but your
Right.
personality and your face is used to be measuring of that. Like people recognize your face. China's, for whatever I'd ever heard, or maybe it's also a conspiracy, they have implemented a system of some sorts where everyone has a camera can recognize someone's face using AI and can pull up a profile as to who this person is, their likeness of like, you know, how well networked are they? Like, do they know a lot of people? Do a lot of people like them? Are they not liked? Are they something of, you know, that caliber? So it's pretty interesting that they have the technology over there to be able to do something like that, but they haven't yet done that over here, or so we think.
Okie dokie.
I'm gonna share real quick my favorite conspiracy. Well, it's not my favorite, but it's one that I definitely think is real, and that's that the chupacabra exists. For those of you that don't know, a conspiracy or myth in Puerto Rico, very similar kind of to the Big Yeti, is that there is a chupacabra that eats sheep. Chupa cabra, cabra is sheep, so it's like sucking the blood out. It's a blood sucking
Oh,
animal that
I didn't know that's what it meant.
roams. Yeah, it roams the island at night and kills your sheep. And the reason why I think that this is true, okay, it's not because my brother traumatized me as a child. Actually, it is that Puerto Rico doesn't have any predatory animals. So, like, what is killing the sheep? The biggest animal that they have that's a predator is a mongoose, and that's like a big lizard. But there is something that eats and like massacres sheep. They have like owls. Owls not gonna massacre sheep. They have a boa, but a boa is just gonna swallow that thing whole. So what's killing the sheep? The chupacabra. That's what.
Okie dokie.
That was a little mic drop moment, all right? You know what I'm saying? But that's my that's like the one conspiracy theory I'm like, yeah, there's no way.
So what are some of your joke conspiracy theories that you entertain?
Oh, I don't know if I like the Earth is flat. That's just like, come on now. Like, I don't entertain that one. I just like to hear the logic, I guess. Like,
No, that shit
how
pisses
is
me
the Earth
off.
flat? Because
No.
maps are flat.
No, that shit pisses me
Come
off.
on
I
now.
can't. I can't. That one is a no. That
I
one
just,
pisses
you
me
know,
off.
if I ever need to feel smarter or better about myself, I'll talk to a flat earther.
And what's crazy is that they will be so dead set on being right, and it's like, no, stop.
And they tell you that they have a friend that went to the edge.
Yep.
Oh, you
It's
did?
like, look, man, my friend
Did
went
you
to the edge.
now? What kind of
My-
shrooms were they on? Like, the edge?
Ridiculous.
Why don't we have video evidence of the Earth being flat yet with all this technology?
Oh, I gotta forward you this clip that made me laugh so hard. Where I think it was maybe MythBusters or something, but there was a couple of flat earthers on the show, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna prove that the Earth is flat right here, right now on television." And they did an experiment where it was like a light tunnel peering into darkness type deal, and the theory was that if the Earth was flat, once they did something, it was like a movement or whatever to shift the light, it would appear to continue straight to prove that the Earth is flat. And if it divoted or curved, then the Earth was round. And the guys were like, no, it's going to stay straight. It's going to stay straight. They did and then like the camera suspension, all that pans in, and the guy's like, all right, 3, 2, 1, and then it does the action, and the light disappears because it's curved. It's gone. It's no longer visible. And the flat earthers are just looking at the camera, and they're like, well, that just doesn't prove anything. This is stupid. This is dumb, and just throws it.
They're just so committed. I gotta give it to flat earthers, honestly. The level of commitment they have to this belief. I want someone to believe in me the way that flat earthers believe.
I'm sure Jess does. I'm sure Jess does. I do.
Yeah, you're right.
I believe in you.
I believe in you too, Cammy.
Appreciate it, guys.
I
But yeah.
Alrighty, well.
Yeah. Got carried away. We should end all Abe series episodes with a little conspiracy. Start looking into them. See if there's one that gets your taste buds going. Just like,
no. This is just not something.
A little taste, you know?
No.
That's going to be your homework next time we have Abe on.
It's not. I'm not doing it.
Moni's like, my time is precious. No.
I just don't have the mental capacity to care enough, honestly. You know?
All right.
This is fair. I mean, on all honesty, you shouldn't really care about stuff like this.
It's a waste of mental
debate
space,
with people.
But...
Yeah, like I just have no desire to like state my case and be as committed as some of these people are to like their point of view. I just don't care.
That's fair, and I think that's also
fair.
pretty healthy. Like, you know, just
hey, one healthy thing about me. There we go.
Ayo.
Snaps for Monica. All right. Well, Abe, thank you so much for coming on today. We had a lot of fun.
Yes.
Thank you
As
so
we
much
said,
for having me.
we'll have you back for part 2 of the Abe series. Maybe a part 3 and 4. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Ooh.
And thank you everybody for tuning in today.
Yeah. If you haven't
Thanks,
gotten your
everyone.
copy of Sunrise and Snakes, make sure you get it. That's not the name.
That's right.
Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yeah, I'm
My
like
bad. Make sure you pick it.
every
One day,
time.
guys. One day I'll get the title. And I'm
Sunrise
reading it right
something.
now.
Sunrise
So,
something. Just
the newest
sunrise
It's
Hunger Games
something.
sunrise.
book.
It's
Sunrise on the
sunrise on the
Reaping.
reaping, right? Yeah.
Yes, my apologies. It's been pretty good so far. I'm a couple chapters in, but we're gonna talk about that some other time. Thank you guys for listening. Get your copy. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. And thank you for listening to A Little Chat.
A little chisme.
Bye.
Bye.